I think this goes without saying, and I believe most people, even if unconsciously, understand this, that what really matters out of opinions, especially reviews, both negative and positive ones, is the conversation that those start around a given series. I've given a ton of harsh reviews to shows that were extremely popular, like Kaguya-sama, Aobuta, and I guess Uzaki-chan counts. I even really disliked Dr. Stone before it got animated. But none of that matters. Positive reviews alone don't help artists evolve. Negative reviews alone don't help artists succeed. Not that I expect the creators of these stories to be watching my little videos on YouTube, but what matters is that we're keeping a series alive by talking about it in different ways. Whether that's by a negative review, a positive one, an analysis, a character breakdown, or a stupid joke video. Because unfortunately, we are missing longevity from entertainment these days. It's been plaguing anime, and even games, a bit more so than movies or TV shows, I feel. The longevity of series to return with new seasons on television helps it establish a brand across generations. Series like Scooby-Doo, Tom and Jerry, The Three Stooges, or damn near the entire collection of early Disney movies have stood a test of time. And I think one of the few companies that has managed this out of Japanese animation is Studio Ghibli. And it may just be that many stories that get adapted into anime are just way too short to hold any kind of longevity like that. Sure, in Japan this may be somewhat different, as series like Sazae-san and Gegege no Kitaro have existed for decades, and that doesn't even expand to Japanese live-action television or cinema. But it's not that Japan isn't capable. Companies like Nintendo and Square Enix exist and have series expanding over 30 years or more between both of them. In some aspects, the quality of content may have something to do with the conversation. Would the E.T. Atari 2600 game be remembered if it weren't so damn awful? Probably not. But the consumerist world we live in tosses the old toy aside once the new one comes off the shelf. Like I said in my previous video about anime needing a mass media outbreak, so many shows are produced each year and the ability to self-review them has become even easier over time. Do you remember Tower of God, or The God of High School? I mean, you might. It's been about a year now. They were super popular not that long ago. But honestly, I didn't watch either one of them, so I can't speak to if they were great shows or not. But they were, again, super popular. And now everyone's soon to be caught up on Chainsaw Man, and the amount of shows that happened in between that blew up, honestly, I can't even count them. I alluded to in that video, the mass media outbreak isn't the only way to keep a show alive. This is our other answer. When I first began watching anime and getting into the stories, I started ripping them apart and finding what some would call the deeper meanings in them. I loved doing it, and I know a ton of people that love to still do it. It honestly just became taxing and time-consuming for a show that even I would forget what I had learned about it in time. Sure, it's a way to revive the conversation with a series that may have ended 5 or 10 years ago by finding a new way to talk about it, but how many people are listening? I could chase the conversation, speak about every episode of the newest season of Attack on Titan, for example, but to me, that just isn't fun. I love Attack on Titan. It's become one of my favorite shows, which is super ironic because just a few years ago, I'd have said Seraph of the End was better. But I think it's become a favorite because of how Hajime Isayama is able to craft his story, and upon returning to the beginning, just how emotional every step in the story can actually be. Sure, it has its deeper parts, in what it has to tell about slavery, humanity, and power, but I've realized the more I've come to love Attack on Titan, that at a point, there are hundreds, maybe even thousands, of other stories that tell the same idea. Isayama is not a genius because of how he frames Marley and Eldia as a real-world comparison to knowledge that we have of the Holocaust. He's a genius because he understands the human emotion behind it. Neon Genesis Evangelion creator Hideaki Anno didn't create a masterpiece because he wanted to write something deep. He wanted to write from the heart, the story of the emotions he was experiencing, or a lack of emotions thereof. Eiichiro Oda didn't craft One Piece into the Goliath that it is because he tried to write himself into something overtly complex. He played with the ideas of discrimination, family, the general ideas of good and evil, to create a story that not only appealed to the masses, but connected with those emotions of the masses. When I gave Kaguya-sama and Bunny Girl Senpai those negative reviews, I don't think I ever accounted for the human side of the creator or the viewer, and while I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing, I will say that it was extremely taxing tearing those shows apart at that level. Sometimes we need to take a less structured look at things and just talk about them, how they made us feel, and not forget those emotions, and really think about what we're looking for in these shows.